My name is Margaret Elaine Coalfield. People called me Maggie for most of my life, but I'm 83 now, and somewhere along the way I stopped correcting people when they called me Margaret. It felt more honest.
Like a name you grow into after everything else has already happened. I was born in 1941 in a small town in Ohio that doesn't look the same anymore. My mother was a quiet woman. My father worked at a plant that made parts for things he never fully explained to us. We were ordinary, completely, entirely ordinary, and for a long time I thought that was something to be ashamed of. I don't think that anymore. But I thought it for long enough that it shaped things. It shaped the choices I made, the things I reached for, the person I decided to become, or tried to become, or performed becoming, I suppose, because there's a difference and I only understood that difference much, much later. The house on Elmcrest Road is yellow now. It wasn't yellow when I lived in it. It was white, with green shutters that needed painting every few years, and a front porch that leaned slightly to the left if you stood on the far end. I used to stand on that far end just to feel the lean, just to feel something slightly off balance in an otherwise very balanced life. I lived in that house from 1967 to 1984, 17 years. My husband, Robert, and I moved in 3 months after we married. We were young. I was 26, he was 29. We thought we knew everything there was to know about each other, the way young people always do. The way you have to believe, I think, or else you'd never begin anything. We had 2 children in that house. Daniel, who is 54 now and lives in Portland and calls me on Sundays, and Claire, who passed away in 2019 from something that started small and then wasn't small anymore. I still reach for the phone some mornings to call her. I still do that. But this isn't a story about Robert, not entirely, and it isn't a story about Claire, though she lives somewhere inside every story I tell now. This is a story about a woman named Dottie, Dorothy Ann Marsh. She lived 3 houses down on the same side of the street in a brown house with a garden that was always doing something. Tomatoes in summer, chrysanthemums in fall. She had window boxes in winter with dried flowers she'd saved, and I used to think that was strange, saving dead flowers. Now I have a jar of them on my windowsill, and I don't think it's strange at all. Dottie moved on to Elmcrest Road in 1971. I was 30, she was 32. We met the way neighbors meet, over a fence, over a borrowed thing, over children who find each other before adults do. Her son Tommy and my Daniel were the same age, and they became inseparable in the way little boys do, and so Dottie and I became what you might call close, what I would have called close. For a long time, that's exactly what I would have called it. I want to try to describe what Dottie was like, because I've been trying to describe her for 40 years, and I'm not sure I've ever gotten it right. She was not beautiful in a way that made you notice her immediately. She was beautiful in a way that crept up on you. She had dark hair that she wore pinned up most of the time, and when it came down, when she'd been working in the garden or when it was late and she'd stopped caring, there was something about her that felt completely unguarded, like a person who'd stopped performing. She laughed easily, not loudly, but easily, like laughing cost her nothing. She asked questions in a way that made you feel she actually wanted to know the answer. Not socially, not to fill silence. She'd look at you while you talked, and you could feel it, that she was actually listening, actually there. I didn't know how rare that was. I had no idea how rare that was. We spent 11 years as neighbors, 11 years of coffee at each other's kitchen tables, of watching our children grow up through the same window of time,
of borrowing eggs and returning wine, and standing in driveways longer than we meant to because the conversation kept finding one more thing to say. I thought I knew her. I was certain I knew her. In 1982, Dottie's husband Paul took a job in Cincinnati, a promotion, a good opportunity, everyone said. And Dottie told me on a Tuesday morning in my kitchen, and I remember she held her mug with both hands the way she always did, and she said, "I think we have to go, Maggie." And I said, "Of course you do," and I meant it. I thought I meant it. They moved in March of 1982. I helped her pack boxes. I stood in her empty living room after the moving truck left, and I felt something move through me. But I put it down. I folded it up. I told myself that we'd visit, that we'd call, that Cincinnati wasn't so far. And we did call, for a while.
The calls became less frequent the way most things become less frequent. Not because of any single reason. Life fills in around the gaps. Robert got a new position at work and was traveling more. Daniel started high school and needed driving somewhere at all hours. Claire went through a period that worried me, a quiet period, the kind you don't know how to reach into. There was always something immediate, something right in front of me. Dottie and I sent Christmas cards. For years we sent Christmas cards. I have a box of them somewhere in the closet off the hallway. I haven't opened that box in some time, but I know it's there. Sometime around 1987 or 1988, the cards stopped coming, or mine stopped going first. I'm not certain now. I genuinely don't know which of us let go first. I've thought about it more times than I can count, and I still don't know. By then, we had moved off Elmcrest Road ourselves. Robert and I bought a bigger house on the other side of town, a house we thought we needed, a house that felt like proof of something. I loved that house less than I ever admitted. I drove past it once, years after we sold it, and felt nothing, just a house. But Elmcrest, that one I still drive past. I found Dottie again in 2009. The internet. My granddaughter Sarah set me up with something or other, and one evening, really just to see if I could manage it, I searched for Dorothy Marsh, then Dorothy Marsh Cincinnati, and there she was. She had a small business, floral arrangements, which made me smile so quietly when I saw it. Of course she did. Of course it was flowers. I found an email address. I sat in front of the computer for a very long time. I wrote a message. I rewrote it. I deleted it. I wrote it again. I told myself it had been too long, that it would be strange, that she probably didn't think about me the way I still, apparently, thought about her. I told myself that reaching out after so many years was self-indulgent, that it would make her uncomfortable, that I was romanticizing something that had simply been a neighborly friendship and nothing more complicated than that. I did not send the message. Robert passed in 2013. Heart. Very sudden. One morning he was there, and by the afternoon he wasn't, and the world rearranged itself in a way that I'm still, 10 years on, still understanding. Grief does something to your sense of time. It folds it. Weeks go missing, then suddenly a whole year has gone and you're standing in December again and you've moved through it somehow without knowing how. It was in that folded time, somewhere in 2014 or 2015, that I thought about Dottie again. I thought about her the way you think about an unlocked door, like something you keep meaning to go back to. I found her again online. The flower business was still there. I read the small description she'd written about herself, and it was so entirely her, warm, understated, a small joke in the second line. And I sat there smiling at a screen at 70-something years old, and I thought, write to her, Margaret. Just write to her. I didn't write to her. I've spent a great deal of time in these last years trying to understand what stopped me. Fear, I think, not of her, but of what she might reflect back. Dottie had a quality, I'm only now finding language for it, of making you see yourself, not in a harsh way, in a clear way.
When you talked to her, you couldn't quite hide, not because she pressed or pried, but because she was so entirely present that pretending felt impossible in her company. And I had spent so much of my life being very, very good at pretending. Pretending I was happy enough, pretending the marriage was good enough, pretending the life I had built, the right house, the right appearance, the careful management of how things looked was what I had actually wanted. Pretending I was the sort of woman who didn't need more than what she had. I was afraid that if I sat across from Dottie again after all those years, she would look at me the way she always looked at people, really looked, and she would see what I had done with the time, and I would have to see it too. In the spring of 2021, my son Daniel mentioned in passing, the way people mention things they think you already know, that he had run into Tommy Marsh online somewhere. Tommy Marsh, Dottie's son, my Daniel's oldest friend. I tried to sound casual. I asked how Tommy was. Daniel said, he's all right. His mom passed a few years back, apparently. A few years back. I didn't ask more. I sat with that. I sat with it the whole afternoon and into the evening, and I'm sitting with it still, in a way. You don't stop sitting with something like that. She was gone. Dottie was gone. And the chances I had talked myself out of, the messages I hadn't sent, the calls I hadn't made, the fear I had dressed up as consideration, all of it had simply run out, quietly, without announcement. The door hadn't slammed, it had just closed, and I hadn't been watching. That's when I started driving past Elm Crest Road. Not that I hadn't before, occasionally, but after that conversation with Daniel, it became something more deliberate, something I needed. I drive past slowly. The yellow house, the garden where Dottie's brown house stood, is tidy now, tended by someone who doesn't know what grew there before. The street is quieter than it was. The trees are bigger. Trees always outlast everything. I don't know what I'm looking for. That's the honest answer. I don't know if I'm looking for her, or for the version of myself that existed on that street, or for the moment before the distance started. Maybe all of it together. Maybe I'm driving past to practice saying, I should have reached out. I had time and I didn't use it. Not because I didn't care, because I cared too much, and caring frightened me, and I chose comfortable distance over the risk of being truly seen. I think about what I would say to her if somehow I could. I don't imagine a grand conversation. I don't think about apologies or explanations. I just imagine sitting in a kitchen again with coffee going cold between us and saying, you were one of the realest friendships I ever had. I think I knew that when you were 3 houses down. I know I knew it when you left. I just didn't know what to do with knowing it. I imagine she would hold her mug with both hands. I imagine she would nod. I imagine she would say something true and simple, the way she always did, and I would feel the relief of being known, of not performing, of being exactly who I was, and having that be enough. I never let myself have that, not fully, not the way I could have. My granddaughter, Sarah, comes on Thursdays. She's 28, and she reminds me sometimes of Dottie in small ways I can't entirely explain. The way she asks questions, the way she actually listens. Last week, she asked me out of nowhere if there was anyone from my past I still thought about. And I said, oh, several people. She waited. She has Dottie's quality of waiting. I said, there was a woman named Dottie. We were neighbors. And Sarah said, what was she like? I tried to describe her. I said she was someone who made you feel like you didn't have to pretend, that she was present in a way that was rare, that she grew chrysanthemums in the fall and dried flowers in the winter and laughed like it cost her nothing. Sarah listened to all of it. Then she said quietly, "She sounds like she really loved you, Grandma." And I couldn't speak for a moment. Because yes, I think she did. I think that was exactly it. And I spent 40 years being frightened of it. And now there's no address to drive to, no email to finally send, no kitchen to sit in, only a yellow house on Elm Crest Road, and me driving past it slowly, doing the thing I should have done while it still meant something to someone other than myself. I'm 83 years old, and I still drive past that house, not because I think it will change anything, just because some debts you can only pay in attention, in showing up, even when it's too late to matter to anyone but you, in saying quietly to no one, I knew what I had. I just didn't know what to do with knowing it.